Hey you guys, welcome back to our channel. This is Hillary, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make your own dowsing rods. Now, if you remember the dowsing rods experiment in our Harrison Township investigation series, you'll probably remember that it was my first time ever using them, and it was pretty interesting. So I wanted a pair that matched Jessica's, and I'm a really hands-on person. I like to create my own tools if possible, just because it gives me an opportunity to optimize and customize things to fit my quirks, and plus I like crafts. So since we've been snowed in for a while here in Michigan, I decided to get everything together and show you guys how I made mine, so hopefully you'll see how easy it is and be inspired to make your own. So if you don't know what dowsing rods are, these are a pair of suspended copper rods used for dowsing, which is a type of divination used to attempt to locate hidden objects without the use of scientific instruments, kind of like a primitive metal detector. It's often used to look for water, and while it might come off as totally bunk science, farmers in California have been known to ask dowsers to help them find ways to irrigate their land. So I don't know, perhaps there's something to it, scientific or not. This pair is designed for ghost hunting. The solid copper rods are suspended in copper tubes covered in leather for comfort and style, and held steady in hopes that supernatural forces will be able to manipulate their movements. Obviously, the sketchiness of this really depends on the person, so it's best to be skeptical before jumping to paranormal conclusions. However, a pair of these can be a fun, relatively inexpensive ghost hunting tool that you can make yourself and experiment with. So here's what you need to make your own pair and decide if they work or not for yourself. Don't worry, I'll have the list in the description for you to check out after the video. So you will need two 18-inch straightened out pieces of solid bare copper grounding wire. I used 12 gauge, but Jessica's were a little thicker, so whichever you prefer will work just fine. The only important thing is that the wire you use is solid copper. There's copper wire out there with a lead core, and that's not good to be handling or playing around with, so make sure it's solid. You'll find it in the electrical section of your local hardware store, and it'll probably come on a roll, so you'll need to straighten it out a bit when you get home and cut it with some heavy-duty cutters. The copper is pretty soft, so if you keep working it for a while, it will bend into place pretty easily, so don't worry if it's a little bent when you get it. Next, you'll need two 6-inch by 5/8 inch copper sweat repair couplings. These are going to be your handles. Then you need an 8.5 by 11 inch piece of leather or fabric of your choice to cover the handles. There's a variety of synthetic options available too if you'd rather not use leather but like this look, and a ton of color, texture options, and fabrics available to choose from as well. So you can really use anything you want. Again, I just wanted mine to match Jessica's, so it's totally up to you. The piece that really holds this whole thing together is the ball of leather at the bottom. The objective is to try and keep the ball as round as possible while you're wrapping the leather strip around the rod. My strips ended up being around 1/4 inch thick, and I used 4 altogether, 2 on each rod. Once the ball is in place, it helped me hold the rod in position to help bend it into a 90-degree angle. So I also tried to pick the least straight end of the rod to make the ball on, just so the prettiest side is the one that we're ending up watching when we're using it. So when I went to the hardware store to pick this out, it was kind of funny because the man who helped me cut the wire, as he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm making a weird craft." And eventually he kind of got it out of me, and he was telling me all about how someone up north that he knows, so up north in Michigan, the UP, even, north of Detroit is honestly kind of up north to all of us, so could have been anywhere. But so they use dowsing rods up there to locate water too, so it was kind of funny. He was familiar with what I was talking about. But anyway, so I cringed too because he was like, "Oh, is it okay if I spool it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess so. Okay, sure," knowing I was gonna have to straighten it out. But this is just proof it's okay, even if it's really, really bent. Just keep working it, kind of massage it into place, bend it a little bit if you need to. It'll work out. You can get them straight, I promise. So, okay, anyway, next you need an X-Acto blade, a pair of scissors, or something to cut with, and also preferably a straight edge or a ruler to just measure and cut along with to keep things nice and neat and straight. Final thing you'll need is an adhesive. So I chose shoe glue because it's formulated for leather, and I wanted to feel confident that the pieces I'm about to start gluing on could handle some wear and tear. And since it's good for shoes, I figured it would be okay for this, so it could probably take a bit of a beating. So you could also use E6000 or any other leather glue of your choice. I just, figured this is what I was going to use, and it was cheaper too. So Altogether, this project ended up costing me around $25, not including the heavy duty clippers I ended up having to buy, but you might have a pair laying around, so I didn't want to include that in the total cost just in case. I also used 40% off coupons to buy the leather and the glue, so the cost might vary a little bit depending on your choices, particularly your material. I picked like the most expensive leather there was. There's a lot of cheaper options too, so it really just depends on what you end up choosing. So after you have both tubes covered, you're going to take the rest of your leather and cut it up into little strips. Pieces, triangles, whatever you like. So we're going to use these pieces to camouflage the seam and just beef up the handle. So it makes it feel nice, it looks pretty, it's artistic, and at least for me, having that nice grip really helps me keep them steady. So you can really go as crazy as you like with this step. It's all about aesthetics at this point. So you can add more color, sparkly stuff, feathers, get some more fabrics or textures going in there, really anything you like. So be creative, they're your tools, so you might as well enjoy using them and like looking at them. I've been using the blade to spread the glue around a little bit too because it was time for me to throw this one out anyway, but definitely a popsicle stick would have been a lot easier to use in hindsight. I'm also using kind of a rolling technique the whole time to keep things as tight and straight as possible. It also helps make sure all the corners are glued down nicely because this glue is pretty thick, so it helps it spread out nice and even. So if you do end up making a pair, please take a picture and tag us on Instagram at Mystic Mitten Paranormal is our handle. We would love to see what yours look like and come over to your account and comment a bunch of heart eye emojis all over the picture. So if you already have a pair too, we'd really love to see them. So make sure you snap a picture and tag us as well.